McLaren in Monaco won again and extended their dominance. But D-Day has arrived for them, and from here on, everything can change drastically. Welcome then to the 9th round of the Formula One World Championship, the Spanish Grand Prix. The final race of the triple header is set as we return to the stunning region of Catalonia and its circuit, one of the most complete circuits of the season. They say a car that performs well here will perform well on the remaining circuits on the calendar. And we could say that we're facing a new beginning because this weekend the dreaded regulation comes into effect that goes against the flexing of the front wings, where many are expecting it to be a turning point in the season. The world's attention is focused on the current leader, who has utilized the wing flexing more effectively. Red Bull is waiting for their rivals to start falling here and for them to have a chance to beat them. McLaren is the dominant team of 2025, but we just have to see if that changes or if Barcelona confirms that nothing can stop them. Let's start the preview of the Spanish Grand Prix 2025 Formula One. Eight races have already passed where an hourglass was slowly running out. Finally, D-Day has arrived in Formula One with the implementation of new technical regulations targeting the flexibility of front wings. The moment to see if McLaren, with just an adjustment, could adapt to this new regulation. Or if, as many expect, this is starting to be the end of their dominance in Formula One. And we have all this scenario at the spectacular track in Spain, which is one of those that puts the car to the test in all kinds of conditions and is perfect for testing the true capabilities of a single-seater. So ladies and gentlemen, to start with this preview, it's time to get to know the venue that will bring this new round of the Formula One World Championship to life. Catalunya, Spain. Its track is the Circuit de Barcelona-Catalunya, located in the Montmeló region, built in 1991. 4.6 kilometers of track, 66 laps, 14 turns, 2 drag reduction system activation zones, but only one potential area to make any overtaking maneuver. Characterized by being a fast, demanding track with all kinds of turns. The first sector is the fastest of the three on this circuit, with only 3 turns and a heavy braking zone. It begins with the extensive main straight, the longest on the circuit, and the first drag reduction system activation point on the track. It is activated just before the finish line and extends all the way to the braking zone for turn 1. It's extremely long and ends at the heavy braking zone of turn 1. A critical point of this circuit is the long right-hander, turn number 3. It requires stability and aerodynamic support in the car to take it as flat out as possible. It's a very fast section of this circuit, which demands power and high speed through the corner. It's an extremely critical sector of the lap, but also a very special one. The second sector is the most technical and has the most corners. It has 6 in particular, which combine fast turns with slow corners, so traction and the car's stability become very important. In these turns, which start with another big curve at turn number 4 and then with a combination of slow corners. But there is a straight between turns 9 and 10, which is the second drag reduction system activation point. This straight is relatively short and obviously it's a much smaller drag reduction system zone than the main straight. Seeing maneuvers here is uncommon, and it's mostly used to chase your rivals and stay close so you can try to overtake on the main straight. Its slow and fast corners make this a very complex sector, which really puts the car to the test in all kinds of ways. And the last sector once again takes you on a technical journey that features 5 corners, a couple of them low speed where traction and a good line are key, but where the last 2 corners are extremely fast. They are downhill right-handers, where the first one is taken flat out and the second one, well, that's the ideal, but it's very difficult to do it under normal conditions. Nevertheless, the speed at which this corner is taken is incredibly fast, and getting a good exit from this one is necessary to give yourself even a minimal chance to overtake on the straight during the race. The Barcelona circuit is highly technical, which helps to understand all the weaknesses and strengths of a single-seater since it has a long straight. Fast and slow corners, elevation changes, and heavy braking, it has everything needed to understand a single-seater. And what about the new technical regulations? A circuit like this will be crucial to understand how the cars work, and that will give us a clue about what to expect for the rest of the year. So, in summary, in the first sector, the most important element is top speed. In the second, traction and car stability through the corners, and in the third, stable aerodynamic load on the car to tackle the last critical corners of this circuit. This track first appeared in Formula 1 in 1991. This track has large runoff areas, making off-track incidents or accidents uncommon here. Since 1994, the safety car has been deployed just 10 times at this circuit, mainly for incidents at Turn 1. So, along with the start, and statistically speaking, this is the most dangerous point on this circuit. The track's width and racers seeking positioning make it especially challenging. Contact can occur in this specific section. If accidents don't happen early in the race, they rarely happen later on. So, the safety car at this circuit has a 50% chance of appearing for the 2025 edition. This circuit demands a balanced approach in the basic areas of car setup. The track demands high traction, but it's not heavily penalized. Brakes are also tested, but it's not excessive either. Due to the many fast corners on this circuit, cars are typically set up with medium to high downforce for better handling. The tight sections of this circuit, which, believe me, are not few. This Spanish circuit is known for being a challenging track for overtaking. Since without a significant difference in tire wear, or if your rival has more top speed, it's very easy to get stuck in the drag reduction system trains. And this track only has one key spot to make any overtaking move, and that's the combination of the main straight and turn number 1. Thanks to drag reduction system and the heavy braking zones, this area gives you the best and maybe the only real chance to make overtaking moves. To succeed, you must exit the final corner better than your rival and slipstream down the straight to reduce air resistance. And complete the move, either before the corner or by being aggressive on the brakes going into turn 1. The advantage is that if the driver chooses this option, you can overtake either on the inside or the outside of the corner. But even so, it's very difficult. So, on a scale from 1 to 5, the difficulty of overtaking on this track is a solid 4. Very difficult, so on Sunday, once again, qualifying well is practically vital to get a good result. On Sunday, in the Spain pit lane, you drive at 80 km per hour, making it a fast transit area. Its entry and exit are right next to the main straight, so you don't need a sudden entry or exit, and a stop with everything. And the tire change can be done in about 21 seconds, and the level of tire wear is extremely high. The drivers will struggle with extremely abrasive asphalt, and the level of stress on the tires and the lateral loads are extremely high. Therefore, under normal conditions, the race should usually be a 2-pit stop race. And Pirelli will bring the C1, C2 and C3 compounds for this Grand Prix, which means the hardest range from the Italian manufacturer. We are facing a special Grand Prix because many are expecting this race to be a game changer of the season, where a large part of the public and some teams have their hopes set on this race turning around the different situations happening in the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships. So anything can happen in this Spanish Grand Prix, or maybe nothing will really change in the slightest. McLaren continues to dominate the season, with 6 wins already between its 2 drivers. But we don't know what will happen once the cars hit the track in Barcelona. Red Bull is determined to win a 5th title. For Max Verstappen, this looks like the round they've been waiting for all season and his big chance to start fighting McLaren. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to analyze each team and driver one by one for this round. At the Spanish Grand Prix, McLaren returned to victory in Monaco with Lando Norris, who wins again this season and extends McLaren's lead in the Constructors' Championship, and the fight in the drivers' standings gets tighter, with Norris and Piastri now separated by only 3 points in the table. And under normal conditions, on a track as degrading as Barcelona, with McLaren's usual strength in tire management, we could say that McLaren is the clear favorite. But precisely this weekend, the new regulation against flexible wings comes into effect, and everyone is watching to see how it will be affected. McLaren has been one of the teams that has best leveraged flexing in the ground effect era from the very beginning, before the season even started. When this measure was announced for the Spanish Grand Prix, McLaren said they weren't afraid and that they would only need to make a small adjustment to adapt. In fact, there were rumors that it was even them who proposed this measure to the International Automobile Federation. Although other teams, especially Red Bull, expect the new technical regulations to weaken the British team. and even some of their members said they hope this will degrade it quite a bit. For now, it is expected that the big upgrade package they haven't introduced yet will be presented to adapt to these regulations. But what can we expect from the McLaren team for this Grand Prix? It's a complete mystery because their car has been very well balanced, and that would obviously help them on a circuit like Barcelona. But we don't know how much McLaren will be affected by the nerf to the flexible front wings. So really, with this team, we're in a complete mystery because their situation might change or it might not affect them at all. Their great tire management and excellent control of rear tire temperatures. On a track as degrading and hot as Spain, it will still be a strength that can help them get a good result on race day. Mercedes has been the team that has suffered the most in the last couple of races, and the situation doesn't seem like it's going to improve, at least in Spain. Mercedes is reportedly one of the teams heavily affected by the new flexible wing regulations. They already installed such a wing in Imola, resulting in a disappointing performance. And what if you add the high temperatures expected in Barcelona this weekend to the lack of pace they've had in the last few Grands Prix? All we can do is wait. A difficult weekend for the Silver Arrows team, who could fall to third in the constructors' standings. And what about Machinery? Recently they brought a new rear suspension that was supposed to improve the car's balance, but this update failed, causing overheating, and they didn't install it in Monaco. In Spain, a re-evaluated version of this system might be seen, and if it works better, it could greatly improve Mercedes' situation. But for now, the outlook seems quite complicated for the German team, at least on this Spanish circuit. In the initial 2025 races, Red Bull prioritized a single objective: keep the points gap in the drivers' standings between the McLaren drivers and Verstappen close, and wait for the Imola package and then for this Grand Prix. All in all, could the issue of front-wing flexibility allow Red Bull to take that step forward they've been looking for? Red Bull is almost miraculously hoping that the technical regulations will weigh on the McLaren team. Max Verstappen has been moderate about the issue, saying he doesn't expect much from this change, at least not for their team. The Barcelona circuit should better suit the RB21's characteristics, where they expect a great opportunity for Max Verstappen to win and thus continue closing the gap with Norris and Piastri. Seeing what happened in Imola, where they performed well on a similar circuit and controlled tire degradation effectively, it's reasonable to consider their victory chances on a circuit that suits them, as long as they have a good qualifying session and Max Verstappen has clean air from lap 1. I have to admit that I didn't expect the pace Ferrari showed in Monaco, where they were the second strongest, but far from that qualifying pace. Would Monaco's track, which suited the SF25's characteristics better, have prevented their downfall on a different circuit? What made Ferrari shine in Monaco is that low-speed corners are beneficial for their car. Ferrari is unsure why their car performed exceptionally well on this circuit, according to Charles Leclerc and Frédéric Vasseur. Although one of the theories is that since extreme setups weren't needed, they were able to run the car low on the track, without excessively wearing down the floor plank and thus increasing the speed of the car. But what worked in Monaco isn't expected to be something magical that will be repeated in this Spanish Grand Prix. They are still waiting for the front wing technical regulations to benefit them, and then the updates they'll install in the middle of the season to at least finish the year in a much more competitive way. It appears doubtful that they can replicate the Monaco outcome, and Ferrari can only wait at this stage. Although, in a way, at this point in the season, they look much better than Mercedes, at least compared to what the last couple of races of this triple header turned out to be. Williams managed to score double points again in Monaco, although they definitely weren't the best midfield team on their own track. But does it help to keep increasing the gap in the constructors' standings? And they arrive in Spain with confidence, because once again they are coming to a track whose characteristics suit their car very well, which allows them to once again hang the sign of favorites in their midfield group. And seeing the approach they have, already thinking about the 2026 car with few updates, Williams needs to keep getting results before their rivals catch up to them. So this team comes to the Barcelona circuit looking to repeat what they've achieved in the last few races. And in fact, circuits like the one they're going to race on this Sunday are the ones the FW47 likes the most. The morale boost Haas received from the points they earned at the Monaco Grand Prix encourages the Americans to keep fighting to lead the midfield. And even though the car's bouncing has hurt them quite a bit in some races this year, the Spanish circuit and its asphalt should minimize this issue, in theory, which should allow Haas to fight for points once again at this circuit. Although it won't be easy, as there are increasingly more contenders for this fight. The battle in this group is extremely tight with minimal differences. Haas must find the right setup, leverage their car's natural balance, and aim to score points again at this circuit. The Racing Bulls are coming off a double points finish, one of their best results this year. Hajar finished 6th and Liam Lawson 9th. However, one of the things that the Racing Bulls car struggles with the most are the fast corners, where the car in particular seems to suffer a bit compared to other tracks. And precisely, the Barcelona track has a good number of these corners that could make this car struggle and where points will be hard to come by. So all that's left is to see if they can mitigate this particular situation. Hajar and Lawson have another chance to score points in the Constructors' Championship and gradually get closer to the Williams team. Aston Martin's Monaco result was disappointing, as Alonso missed out on scoring his first points of the year. Aston Martin's progress was derailed by a reliability failure, but they have made strides in improving their car's speed. They are significantly more competitive post-Imola upgrades. As they gain more understanding of the upgrade package, they'll have increased possibilities. They must continue fighting and improving to better compete against rivals and improve their position in the constructors' standings. This weekend, Fernando Alonso races at home, aware that points could be within reach for the Spanish driver despite the challenge. The pace seems to be in the car and it's definitely capable of achieving it if bad luck decides to leave Fernando alone, at least for a while. Alpine's performance in Monaco was underwhelming, as they had anticipated a significant result on this track this season. Just like in the season's first races, their poor qualifying pace limited their performance in the race. In fact, Alpine themselves admitted they expected much more from this race and left completely disappointed. Even so, the mood remains high and Flavio Vettori says he's eager to see what happens in Spain, and even more so with the new technical regulations coming into play. So maybe in Spain they'll return to the form they showed up to Imola, and both Gasly and Colapinto will be able to fight for points. But it's still a mystery how this team will do in the next Grand Prix, especially after what we saw in the Monaco race. Sauber has a slight hope of taking a step forward in this competition if any teams are seriously affected by the new technical regulations. And Jonathan Wheatley had already mentioned this in previous races. But to be honest, and speaking very personally, I find it hard to believe that even with this Sauber will get out of the hole they're currently in, so all that's left is to see if anything changes in their favor. Even though at first glance it looks extremely complicated. The weather forecast for this weekend doesn't predict any kind of weather surprise that could turn the competition in Montmeló upside down. As of the time of this recording, there's a 0% chance of rain for Friday and Saturday, and only a 5% chance for Sunday. With high temperatures ranging between 25 and 27 degrees, so warm weather is expected. So ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a hot race in Barcelona, but with a completely dry track for this new round of the Formula One World Championship. And finally, to wrap up this preview, it's time for the historical facts section of the Spanish Grand Prix. So you can take some trivia home with you this weekend. Spain has always been a country with a broad and rich tradition, not only in Formula One but in motorsports in general. Great representatives have come from this country, and they've had a Grand Prix since 1951 and on different and varied circuits. The Pedro Arbiz circuit in Barcelona hosted this Grand Prix in 1951 and 1954. From 1968 to 1981 with some interruptions, the Jarama circuit in Madrid hosted this competition. In 1969, 1971, 1973 and 1975, the Montjuic circuit in Barcelona brought the Spanish Grand Prix to life. Later, from 1986 to 1990, it was the Jerez circuit that took over this competition. And since that distant 1991 until today, the Barcelona-Catalunya circuit has been the home of the Spanish Grand Prix. Although that will change in 2026 because this competition will become the property of Madrid and its new street circuit, called Madrid. Besides this, Spain has also hosted other Grand Prix races under the name of the European Grand Prix on other occasions. The Jerez de la Frontera circuit hosted this European competition in 1994 and 1997. And the Valencia Street Circuit saw Formula One as part of this competition from 2008 until 2012. Spain has had 15 drivers in Formula One throughout its history, such as Alfonso de Portago, Alex Soler-Roy, Luis Perez Sala, Adrian Campos, and many more. However, only 2 Spanish drivers have won in Formula One. Fernando Alonso has 32 victories, with his last win at the 2013 Spanish Grand Prix, and more recently Carlos Sainz, who has achieved 4 victories of his own. Only Fernando Alonso knows the feeling of winning in front of his home crowd on his native soil. He won with Renault in 2006, Ferrari in 2013, and at the 2012 European Grand Prix in Valencia. Being not only the only Spanish driver to achieve this milestone of winning at home, but also the most successful driver in the history of Spain in Formula 1. The race lap record is held by Max Verstappen, who set the fastest time in 2023 with a time of 1:16.330. The most successful team in the Spanish Grand Prix is Scuderia Ferrari, which can boast 12 victories achieved from 1954 to 2013. And the podium? The drivers with the most victories on this circuit are Max Verstappen with 4 and tied at the top step, Lewis Hamilton and Michael Schumacher, who have each won the Spanish Grand Prix 6 times, making them practically the absolute monarchs of this Grand Prix. These are the facts about the Spanish Grand Prix, its circuits, its drivers, and its top winners. With this, we conclude the preview of the 2025 Spanish Grand Prix of Formula 1. Do you believe the new technical regulations will significantly impact Formula 1, or will they pass without causing any practical changes? Do you think McLaren will be nerfed after this? And of course, let me know your top 3 of who you think will be the first 3 drivers on the podium at the end of this Sunday's Spanish Grand Prix. Let me know all your opinions in the comments section. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Goodbye. Subscribe, turn on notifications to know when new videos are uploaded, and share this with friends. Also, I invite you to follow us on our Instagram and Twitter accounts. The links will be in the description of this video, and I'll see you this Sunday. Now then, for the recap at the end of the Spanish Grand Prix. Thank you for tuning in and see you later. Thank you.